So now that we know how to get a movie by name, it's time to learn how to get a movie by ID. Because as I told you earlier, the ID is also very important in order to get a resource from the database. And fortunately, getting a movie by ID is very, very similar to getting a movie by name. The only difference is that we are going to provide the ID rather than provide the name. So here, let me create a new file and then name it get movie by ID.php and then hit enter. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy the complete code from get movie by name because it's going to be very similar. And then I'm going to paste it in get movie by ID. And then I'm going to change only one thing. The only thing that I'm going to change is the here instead of get title, it's going to get ID. And here it's going to be instead of title, it's going to be ID, and here also ID. And here all we need to do is that here in this query, what we need to do is that we need to say where ID and then question and then equals and then question mark. And here also bind param, and then what we want to bind is that we want to bind I instead of S because the ID is integer, and here we want to bind the ID itself. So here I for integer and ID, which is going to be replaced by which is going to replace this question mark. And we are good to go. Here everything is going to be the same. Nothing else is going to be different. So that is it. Let me now save and head on over to the browser and save all, and then let me head on over to the browser. Now in the browser, let me zoom in and let me now get a movie by, instead of get movie by name, I'm going to say get movie by ID. And then I'm going to say equals to, let's say 1, because we only have one movie that has an ID of 1, which is Joker. Let me hit enter, and here I have an error. The reason is because I forgot here to say .php. First you need to say .php and then question mark and then ID and then equals to and then 1. And as you can see, I got the ID, I got the movie. So this is how it works. Again, the URL should be get movie by ID and then .php and then question mark and then ID. Why ID? Because here the request requires a parameter called ID and then equals to and then the ID itself. You might be wondering now, why do we have these two? Why would we need these two files, get movie by name and get movie by ID? What's the difference? Well, the difference is that get movie by name is usually used by the end user. Normal users are going to make a query to our API and they are going to provide the name, the movie title, because they don't know the ID of the movie. Usually the end user doesn't know that. Instead, they are going to use the get movie by name. But people or developers usually work with get movie by ID. Maybe here in this example, in this movie's ID, it's a little difficult to perceive this, but in other APIs, developers usually use the ID rather than the name to work with updating and also to get a specific resource from the database. So it's very important to know how to get a movie or resource by ID.